So today we're going to dive into a pretty profound idea called unity in the body of Christ. It's a core concept from a set of teachings known as the landmarks of faith. And honestly, it's a radical call for inclusion. It really challenges the way we tend to divide ourselves. So what does it actually mean for all these different kinds of people to become one single, unified body? Let's break it down. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll get a really clear handle on what this landmark of faith is all about. Then, we'll get into its main metaphor, this whole idea of a body. After that, we'll see how this unity is supposed to totally reframe earthly divisions, what equality looks like in this system, and, where does this incredible unity even come from? And finally, we'll ask the big question. What's the whole point of it all? All right, let's start at square one. What exactly is the unity in the body of Christ? Let's get a solid definition on the table. Okay, so the core idea is this. The church isn't just a building or a collection of people who happen to show up at the same place. It's seen as a single living organism. Think less social club and more living body. Every single part, no matter how different, is seen as absolutely essential for the whole thing to work. It's this shared connection that supposedly binds everyone together. Now, to help us wrap our heads around this, the source material uses a really powerful metaphor. And this analogy is absolutely key to understanding this whole concept of unity and diversity. And this is where it all clicks, right? A body has eyes, ears, hands, feet. They all look totally different, and they all do completely different things. But they're all part of the same body, all working together. An eye isn't more important than a hand. They're just different. So this metaphor is telling us that our individual differences aren't a problem for unity. They're actually essential for the body to even function. And just look at the scale of this diversity. We're not just talking about different personalities in a single town here. The text makes it crystal clear. The members are called from every nation, every family group, every language, and every single people group. This is a vision of a truly global unity that, by design, leaves no one out. So the big question is, if you bring all of these incredibly different people together from all over the world, what happens to all the social and cultural lines that usually divide us? Well, the text gives a pretty radical answer. Those lines are fundamentally changed through something it calls a new creation. That phrase, new creation, is everything here. It points to a deep, fundamental shift in identity. It's suggesting that who you were before, your culture, your social status, your nationality, it doesn't just vanish. Instead, it becomes secondary to this new shared identity. And that's the key. It isn't about erasing your background, but about reframing it inside a much larger family. This table just lays it all out so clearly. On the left, you've got all the things that so often split our world apart. Race, culture, nationality, social class, rich, poor, even gender. But now look at the right. The new creation doesn't pretend these differences don't exist. Instead, it says they must not be divisive. Their power to create hierarchies and to separate us is, well, neutralized. And what's the result? Equality, a single bonded fellowship. Okay, so that's the big idea. That's the theory. But what does this equality actually look like in the real world? How are you supposed to live this out day by day? Well, it seems to unfold in about 3 steps. First, it starts with a spiritual bond that creates a real, genuine fellowship. Then, second, that fellowship gets expressed through service. But notice this, it's a two-way street. We are to serve and be served. That implies a kind of mutual humility where everyone depends on everyone else. And then third, and this is probably the hardest part, that service has to be without any partiality. No playing favorites, no holding back based on who someone is. Now, this is a beautiful vision, but it's a really high ideal, which makes you wonder, where does the power for this kind of radical unity actually come from? What's holding it all together? According to the text, the source isn't just human beings trying really hard. It's something divine. The text actually grounds this whole concept in the very nature of God, specifically in the idea of the Trinity. The belief here is that God exists as a perfect unity of 3 distinct persons, and that oneness becomes the ultimate model for the church. The logic is, if perfect unity and diversity can exist on a divine level, well, then it can be mirrored here in the human community. And to bring that pretty massive theological context right down to earth, the text adds this idea of adoption. This frames the unity not just as some abstract model, but as the concrete reality of a family. In any family, siblings can be wildly different from each other, but they all share a common parent and a common identity. It's the same principle at work here. So we've covered what this unity is, how it works, and where it comes from. But what's it for? Is it just about creating a nice, cozy community for its own members? According to the source, nope. This unity has a purpose that faces outward, to the rest of the world. The ultimate goal is for this unified group to present a single, coherent witness to the world. And here's the really powerful part. The unity is the message. The very sight of people from every background, every race, and every social class living together in true harmony, that is meant to be the most compelling proof of the faith they share. So let's just quickly recap the core pieces. We've got one body made from many, many diverse members. We have a new creation where our divisions lose their power. We have one source for all this unity, modeled on the divine. And finally, one witness, which is the ultimate purpose. And all of this brings us to one final, really important question. This text lays out this incredible vision. But in our world today, a world that feels so defined by division, what would it actually look like for people to live as a new creation? What does it truly mean when the lines we draw between each other no longer get to have the final say? It's a huge question, and it really gets to the very heart of this landmark of faith.